Hello everyone. So this is something I actually showed with my clients today, and it's something that these that I'm going to show you are actually 8 years old, okay? But I had been doing it a lot longer than that, and it was actually a process that I'd seen years and years ago, and it actually blew my mind when I first seen it. Now, some of you may have seen this on the internet, and it's Dr. Emoto's process, right? It was around, of course, a doctor who did this testing on water by creating prayer and putting words into water. And then he would put that water under a microscope and, have all these different patterns that would appear. And then, he did tests on toxic water and having numerous people pray over and seeing the difference between the water before and after. And many people have done different tests and practices and various different things in relating to plants and, using it on apples. And, so I decided to do it as a rice experiment. I did it with my children when they were young, and what it is that our words carry vibration. Most people don't realize that the things that we speak and project into something actually has an impact on the physical. So if you start to think about how you speak to yourself and how these words can actually impact your cells and the vibrational basis of this, it will actually have you going, oh, actually, I want to clear and delete some of that negative talk. I want to clear and delete things that are actually vibrationally affecting me physically, but also realizing what we put out there to others as well. So this helps with us with the judgment and the self-talk, right? We talk to ourselves and put ourselves down, tell us we're not worthy, tell us like we're shit, and all these terrible comments, I'm ugly and I'm not good enough for, I think I already said that, but you get what I'm saying, right? So easy for us to create these negative stories about ourselves. And it actually has an impact on us physically. And as much as we think they're just words and just thoughts, and most people can see when they've been in depressive thoughts, it actually has a really negative impact on how they feel. But it actually can change your cellular vibration as well. So when I did it with my children, they were separate jars. One of them took them in for show and tell at that time. Sorry, my camera's getting, my battery's getting low, so my thing just kind of came up with a notification. Anyway, so he did it as a show and tell, and his teacher actually asked me to come in and do it with his class. He was in grade 1 at that stage. He's now in grade 8. And I took these jars in, the examples, and explained to the children that we can, there's 3 different jars we had. And one, we were speaking positive thoughts to it, saying, I love you, and you're amazing, and you're the best, and all these beautiful things. And we had one that we spoke nothing to, and we had another jar that we spoke negatively to. And then the teacher, it actually, well, I should say firstly, the ones we spoke negative to within days started to change. It started to go moldy, but the ones we were speaking positive to stayed beautiful and white. So he took this in as a show and tell, and of course the teacher asked me to come in and do a demonstration for all the students and show them. And the children themselves, the class, actually elected what they wanted to have on the 2 jars. They had the positive and negative. They didn't have the neutral one. And I've still got those jars. And my son, like I said, is in year 8 now. Now, the first jar, it is 8 years old. It was cooked rice. All the rice was cooked together and put in separate jars and sealed. Then we obviously identify which one was the positive and negative. Now, the positive one, the students at that stage chose to write, you're the best and you're amazing, okay? This is the jar. You can see it's slightly discolored, but it's like slightly. You can see even the bottom looks still very white 8 years later, right? This jar of rice has not gone disgusting in 8 years, right? Yet, the one that was created at the same time that has all this negative words, right? And it says, you're the worst and you are disgusting. Now that jar is black at the top, right? It is black down to about here. It is significantly different in color. Right? You can see, significantly different. And when I show this to clients, it literally blows their mind. And one of my clients today was like, I'm going to actually do that with my children at home, because it's really important for us to realize how much impact those words are. They say words is spelling. It's creating a spell, right? So we're sending a vibration out into the universe and onto different things. And it's different. We can have thoughts and they can go through our head and they don't have any attachment and we're not being defined by them. But when we have thoughts that we have emotions with and that we define and we allow that to be part of our identity, it actually impacts us. It changes the way our vibration is and how we look in the world. So really looking at that, how do you show up in this world? Do you show up with confidence, and do you show up with your back up straight, and how you speak and how you're seen, right? Do you feel valued? Do you actually own that part of yourself? Because, it comes to self. The ultimate relationship is with self. So your own inner identity and how you see yourself, how you honor yourself, how much love you give yourself is basically setting the standard for everybody else that comes into your relationship, right? If you tolerate being put down, or you think little of yourself, you're likely to attract somebody that's going to validate that, right? So really starting to represent, how do I speak to myself? How do I see myself? How do I actually identify with the words that I speak about myself? And start to look at, how do I actually create a positive vibration? And remembering clearing that energy when we do catch ourselves, it's pretty easy. I clear and delete that negative stuff. I shift that. I choose to how I choose, and I'm in control of how I turn up in this world, how I am defined, who I am. And not in a place of controlling, as in, controlling the universe and doing it from fear, but choosing that I can live in my heart open. I can choose to come into this world feeling good, feeling positive, actually knowing I am valued and worth, I am enough. I'm worthy. I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of being treated right. And when we meet ourselves at that level of standard, we're going to attract somebody that's going to see that, because we show up in that vibration. We radiate that energy, and it becomes a resonance for somebody else. So I hope you guys enjoyed that little segment. I've recorded this so many times over many, many years, but today again, I showed a client and she was absolutely gobsmacked by the rice. And she was like, no way, because she's having negative thoughts, of course, right? So I want you guys to stop and think, how do I clear that? And when you clear and delete that, drop into your heart. Think of something that you love about yourself. Think of something you're grateful for. Just even feel, even if you don't have to look at, like sometimes we look at women, especially look in a mirror and they see this negative stuff and they talk this stuff. But actually with my eyes shut, all I can do is feel this version of myself that doesn't have a face, or doesn't have this, cellulite or something, that I could talk negative about myself. Actually, I can just breathe and expand my heart and feel love for myself, love for being whole, not fragmenting myself. And that's a choice, right? Because I wasn't always here. I get to choose to be happy. I get to choose how I walk around with my heart open and how I help others, right? And I get to choose how I talk to myself and what defines me. And so do you. It's a choice. And you are in control of that. And you get to not make it complex, but keep going at it. So I hope you enjoyed today's little share.